All right, my awesome students, we're now going to be tackling our final example in this section, example 7, where we won't be combining every single property we talked about, but we'll be combining several properties into one problem. So it won't be very straightforward like our last problem. So again, the harder the problem, the more exciting the problem. So get excited, you guys. I'm super excited. Let's do this thing. All right, so it says to find the measure of arc DE and the measure of arc EG. So I need to look at my picture to see if there's any types of those properties we talked about angles intersecting on the circle, in the circle, or outside of the circle that might help me to find these arcs. So for right now, I'm focusing on arc D to the E. So I'm going to highlight that bad boy right there. Bam. Okay, so I'm trying to find this arc. So let's look deep into our picture and let's see if there's anything in here that could help me find arc D. Well, I see that there's some angles inside of the circle, so that might be helpful. I do have an angle outside of the circle, but currently I don't have an angle marked for it, so that might not be very helpful. All right, and then I have some arcs given to me. So currently what I'm looking at is the fact that I have an angle inside the circle, this angle 89 right here. Bam. And guess what, you guys? Angle 89 is opening up. Sorry, that was supposed to be an angle opening up. It's opening up to arc DE. So maybe I can use that nifty theorem that we talked about not too long ago, deja vu, right? Where we talked about angles that are created by secants or chords that intersect inside the circle. Which remember, you guys, if you have chords or secants that intersect inside the circle, if you take half of the sum of the two intercepted arcs, then you will get the measure of one of the interior angles. So we're going to be using this property to help us solve. So let's dive into it. Okay, I'm going to zoom back out. Doot, doot, doot. Nice sound effects. Okay, so I know that if this is my angle, remember the two intercepted arcs are the arcs that are kind of like above and below this angle. So I know that it's opening up to arc DE, and then the other intercepted arc that it's opening up to is this arc right here. If I were to keep going, I'm not going to, well, I guess I could draw. I guess I will. Okay, if I were to keep extending these two chords that intersect inside the circle, these two angles will open up to these two intercepted arcs. So these are the arcs, and that is the angle that I'm going to be using to help me solve this crazy awesome problem. All right, let's get going, you guys. Okay, so I know that the measure of angle D, I guess this doesn't really have a letter. I guess I'm just gonna give it a letter so I can call the angle something, because right now I can't call it anything. So I'm gonna call it, let's see, I got D, E, F, G, H. I guess I'll call it I, just to keep it consistent. So, oh, but that's kind of sadistic because that spells D-I-E. I'm gonna go to the other way, so we're not gonna call it the diangle because that's pretty bad. Sorry guys, I did not mean to make that spell the word die. Anyway, so the measure of angle EID equals 1/2 the sum of my two intercepted arcs, which are arcs DE. So the measure of arc DE plus the measure of arc HG. All right, guys, let's solve for arc DE. I'm super excited. Let's go, let's go, let's go. All right, so the measure of angle EID is 89 degrees, equals 1/2, and I'm going to fill in these bad boys right here. All right, so, well, DE I don't know, so I'm just going to bring it on down because I don't know that one. Plus the measure of arc H to the G, which guess what? That bad boy measures 61 degrees. All right, let's solve this thing for D, which, again, since I have a fraction outside of my parenthesis, technically I could distribute that through. But if you notice, 61 is not an even number, so when I distribute 1/2 through, I'm going to have a fraction in my problem, which fractions are our friends, you guys. Don't be confused about that. They are our friends. Okay, but sometimes our lives would be made easier if we didn't have a fraction. So I'm actually going to move the 1/2 to the other side of the problem. All right, so how do I move a 1/2 to the other side of my problem? I do, in fact, multiply by the reciprocal. Which was the reciprocal of 1/2? It is 2/1. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 2/1. Guys, which on this side, 2 divided by 2 cancels and turns to 1, and 1 divided by 1 cancels and also will turn to 1, which I'm going to zoom in now so you can see this better. Okay, so my fraction cancels out. Wowza. Let's keep going. Okay, so 2/1 is the same thing as multiplying by 2. So I'm going to do 2 times 89, which that's going to be 178 degrees. Which I'll double check because, again, like I said, it's kind of late and I need to make sure I'm doing it right. All right, so 2 times that. Yep, okay. We're good, you guys. We're good. I'm not that tired, apparently. Okay, so then now I'm just left with the measure of arc DE plus 61. And since I'm just left with addition, I don't really need my parenthesis anymore. All right, let's finish solving this bad boy for D to the E. How do I bring 61 to the other side? Yes, I do subtract that bad boy on both sides. Sorry guys, if you hear random sound effects in the background, my cats are a little hungry and they start to turn into demon cats when they get hungry, so they're like wrestling and jumping all over everything right now. So I apologize if you hear that going on in the background. But anyways, 61 minus 61 will cancel and turn to 0, and 178 minus 61 will be, let's see, well, 178 minus 60 will give me 118, minus 1 is 117. Okay, so this is going to be 117, look at that. Okay, so I had the measure of our D is 117 degrees, yay. There they go. All right, but anyway, so we're halfway done with the problem. Yeah. Okay. The problem also asks to find the measure of arc EG. Okay, so again, we need to look at the circle. I guess I'll zoom back in. Sorry, guys. We need to look at the circle to see if somehow I can use something in my picture to maybe eventually help me to get to EG. So there's several ways I could do this, which I'm going to label DE in my picture because that might help me. DE is 117 degrees. Okay, so I want to find EG. Probably the fastest way to do it. Currently, I know every single arc in my circle except EG. So what do all the arcs add up to be in the circle? Yes, they do, my super smart student. They do all add to be 360. So technically, if I added up all my arcs and subtracted them from 360, I would get EG. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. I'm also going to show you another way using those nifty properties that we went over in the Prezi. So currently I have an angle outside of my circle, but in order for me to have that, I need to have an intercepted arc and an outer arc, which I got the outer arc, but I don't have an inner arc, and I don't have this angle, so I have too many unknowns if I were to use this angle right here. So maybe I can look to one of my inner angles formed inside of the circle. So currently, if I knew what this angle was right here, I could use the same property we just now used to add the sums of my intercepted arcs and divide by 2. And that would give me what this arc is right here, okay, which is what I'm trying to find. I'm trying to find EG. Okay, so what in my picture might help me to figure out what angle EIG would be? Do you guys see anything? If you look here, what does angle 89 and EIG form when you put them together? They do form a line, which means what do they add up to equal? They do add up to equal 180 degrees. So if I do 180 minus 89, that will give me this angle right here. Okay, so I'm going to start by solving that over here so we can have our work documented so you know what I did when you reference this problem again. So the measure of angle EIG equals 180 degrees minus angle EID, not die, because I don't like that. I don't want the angle to die. That's sad. And that should say angle. Sorry, guys. I squeezed a little angle symbol in there. I have pinky promise. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's solve for the measure of EIG real quickly. So the measure of EIG equals 180 degrees minus the measure of angle EID, which is this one right here, so minus 89 degrees. Okay, so let's figure out what this angle is, and we can get started on solving that. Okay, so 180 minus 89. Well, 180 minus 80 is 100. Minus 9 more will give me 91 degrees. So guess what, you guys? The measure of EIG is 91 degrees, which I'm going to double check again. Doesn't hurt to double check. So 10, yep, 91 degrees. So now I know that this bad boy is 91 degrees, which that says 91. I know it doesn't look like it. Okay, so now let's look back at our lovely picture. It's beautiful, isn't it? I worked hard on these, you guys. You should be proud of me. I'm quite proud of myself on these pictures. But anyways, so now we're going to be looking at angle. Let's see, what color should I use? I'm going to use my orange highlighter because I think that'll show up the best. So I'm going to grab my orange highlighter. All right, so now I'm looking at this angle right here. Okay, and then I'm going to look at this angle right here because these are my two chords. So I'm going to look at the other side of the chord. So before I was looking to the angles formed by the two chords that were kind of in the upper and lower spot, so up and down. Now I'm going to look left or right. Okay, so the two intercepted arcs are arcs D to the H. Technically, it should have another letter because it's a major arc, but that's okay. So we have DH. Well, actually, it's not a major arc, JKLL. So it's okay. But anyways, I take that back. So we have this intercepted arc and this intercepted arc right here. Okay, so we're going to be adding up the two intercepted arcs and dividing by 2 like we just did in this problem. So let's get going. Okay, so I'm going to block that off to keep it separate. All right, let's get going. Let's get going. Okay, so I know that the measure of angle EIG equals 1/2 the sums of my two intercepted arcs, which in my picture, that's EG and DH. So the measure of arc DH plus the measure of arc EG. All right, let's solve this thing. And we're going to solve this thing for EG. So get excited, you guys. Okay, so I'm going to fill in my values right now. All right, so the measure of angle EIG we now know is 91 degrees. Equals 1/2 the measure of D to the H, which DH is 137 degrees. Plus the measure of EG, which I don't know, so I'm going to leave it as EG. All right, let's solve this thing for EG, which remember, I have a fraction outside of a parentheses, so technically you can distribute it through. But again, like we've been seeing, we don't have any even numbers. So if I were to multiply by 1/2, we're going to have fractions, which they're just a little bit more complicated to deal with at times. So I'm just going to go ahead and move that 1/2 to the other side. How do you move fractions to the other side? Oh man, you do multiply by 2 on both sides. So 2/1 and 2/1. Okay, which the 2's will cancel and turn to 1. Same with the 1's. Okay, and I'm going to zoom back in so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, and 2/1 is simply just 2. So 91 times 2 will give me 182 degrees. Look at that. All right, and then I'm left with 137 degrees plus the measure of arc EG. All right, let's get the measure of arc EG by itself. Technically, I didn't have to put these parentheses because now I'm simply just adding. So they're a little bit unnecessary. So, sorry guys, I technically don't need them. All right, so let's get the measure of arc EG by itself. So how do I move 137 to the other side? Yes, my brilliant students, I would subtract by 137 on both sides. So 137 minus 137 cancels and turns to 0. And 182 minus 137, well, again, let's try some mental math. So 182 minus 130 gives me 50, minus 70 more gives me 43 degrees. And I'm just going to double check. Doesn't hurt. Da, da, da. 7 and up. Nope, something's wrong. Hold on. It's okay. I'll fix it. See, that's why it's good to check your work. So 182 minus 130 is 152. Okay, sorry, 152, not 150. 152 minus 7 will give me 45. That's why it's always good to check your work, you guys. I do it all the time. All the cool kids do it, so you should do it. And again, I'll double check. Yes. Okay, now that is right. Okay, sorry guys. So, the measure of arc EG equals 45 degrees. So guess what, you guys? Technically we're done, but it doesn't hurt to solve one more way to make sure we did the problem right. So I'm gonna solve this in the way that I explained at the beginning of the video. Okay, so I'm gonna show you one more way to solve for EG. So I'm gonna extend this down. Okay, so this is part 2. This is part 1. This is part 2. Alright, so like I said before, you guys, technically, before I found EG, I knew every single arc on the circle except for EG. And what do all the arcs on the circle add up to equal, you guys? Yes. They do add to be 360 degrees. So technically, I could add up all these arcs and subtract those bad boys from 360, and that would also give me EG. So let's see if we end up with 45. I hope so. Keep my fingers crossed. I hope so. Because if I messed up, I don't like having to redo it again. So hopefully I didn't mess up. Okay, so we're going to say, let's see. I'll use this one. All right, so the measure of DH plus the measure of, let's see here, HG plus the measure of DE plus the measure of EG equals 360 degrees. All right, let's do this thing, which I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see better. So it's the measure of DH plus the measure of HG plus the measure of DE plus the measure of EG equals 360. I know my handwriting's sloppy right now. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's get going. Okay, so the measure of DH is 137 degrees. So I'm going to fill in 137 degrees for that bad boy. Plus the measure of HG, which the measure of HG is 61 degrees. Plus the measure of DE, which we solved earlier. The measure of DE is 117. So plus the measure of 117 plus EG, which I'm solving for, equals 360 degrees. And that's a G. Sorry. All right, let's solve this thing for E to the G. All right, let's combine these real quickly. So we got 137 plus 61. That's going to give me 198, I'm pretty sure. Yep. So these two are 198. All right, so 198 plus 117 plus the measure of EG equals 360. All right, let's combine these two. Bam. All right, 198 plus 117 will give me 315, I'm pretty sure. I'll double check that real quickly, though. So, 8 and is 15, 9, 10, 11. Yep. So that's 315 degrees plus the measure of EG equals 360 degrees. And now I just got to get this bad boy by itself. So how do I bring 315 to the other side? Yes, I would subtract that bad boy on both sides. Let's do it. Let's do it. which 315 minus 315 cancels and turns to 0. And 360 minus 315, well, that will give us, let's see, so 50, 45. Yes, that would be 45 degrees. Yay, we did it right. Yes, yes, that's my fist going. Yes, yes. All right, so the measure of EG, guess what, you guys? We got it again. The measure of EG is 45 degrees. Holy smokes, that was incredible. All right, well, that was great. I hope you enjoyed combining multiple circle properties to solve. That was fun. Circles are my absolute favorite thing in geometry, so I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. Nice work. You guys are great.